reveal. You reveal this key. Copy. See, that's what I don't want to touch. Where's the LBS system in here? You remember it was in here? You see what I mean? Why is it not?
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence
Good evening. Thank you for attending the Amargosa Valley Town Board Business Meeting. My name is Mike Cotgill. I am the Vice Chairman. I am in this position because Mr. Jimmy Thomas is no longer on the Amargosa Valley Town Board. So I will be acting as chairman for the next meeting or two until we have a new person elected. Well, thank you for taking your time to attend. It is time for the flag salute. All right. Ready, begin. Okay, the format, the way we're going to do this is I will read the agenda item. Then we need a motion and a second. And once that is in place, then we will take general public comment. In order to have your public comment heard and entered into the record, please come to the podium, state your name, so we know who it is, keep it for the record. Then you have 3 minutes to state your views. Okay, number one. Okay, for the approval of the agenda for this evening, I will make the motion to approve the agenda subject to the pulling of the following items. Okay. 9A, B, and C, those are the normal bookkeeping ones that we always pull. 9D, regarding a subdivision approval, there is no backup, and that should go through our planning committee first anyway. 9G and H, having to do with issues regarding a special use permit and so forth for the acres cultivation. The county and the state have jurisdiction in that area. I have checked with the state government on that. The town does not have the capacity or authority, and special use permits really require zoning and stuff. One thing we do not have here. Okay. 9L. I think that is the one where they were going to take the percentages coming off of the acres fee schedule back into the town. That creates 4 new accounts, a ton of bookkeeping and so forth. We can really keep track of that by just printing a revenue status report each quarter, seeing how much is in there and divide it up accordingly. One of the reasons that we structured this when it first came together and put it in the general fund, so we had the freedom to do with it as we needed. So, you know, we will be open to taking suggestions and stuff at that time for that. The 9M regarding that mower for the park, that is a small, lightweight residential unit. That park will beat that thing to death in a week or two. We mow darn near 4 acres over there. There's roots in it. There's one thing and another. So we do have a starter and a new switch ordered for the heavy-duty mower we have now. When we need to, we'll look at replacing that with a commercial unit. 9N, that for the raise for that issue needs to go through the HR department and come to us then as a recommendation. 9O and P again are changes to some accounting issues. We only got 30 days left in this accounting cycle, and for the new fiscal year, the town will be responsible for assigning the accounts into the budget and how much the expenditures are once we get our approval back on our budget. So that'll take a lot of the heavy lifting off the town office and so forth. So that's all I had. Any other suggestions?
Should we have comment before we have a motion in a second?
We got to have a motion in a second.
motion?
Now we're open to public comment.
I like most of the ones you pulled. I wouldn't mind discussing them, but yeah, there's problems with a bunch of those. But I wanted to see H left on there, at least to get as far as discussion. I think you're oversimplifying the problem with us having our own ordinance. This ordinance is exactly like what the county has, except we took out the word county and put in Amargosa Valley. I'd like to keep H.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Aye.
Aye.
There's 3-1. I'll protest vote for H. All right.
Okay, we now are open to general public comment. This is the time we invite the public to come up to the podium and discuss, any, you can't discuss items that are on the agenda because we will address those as the agenda item comes up. If you have other issues with the town, anything you'd like to do in the future and so forth, please come to the podium and let us know.
I would like to know the reason for pulling number H. This is the ordinance that was proposed. It was not published in the paper properly a month ago. It's been published in the paper. Since it's been published in the paper, how long will the publication in the paper last? This is an item that protects the town in terms of marijuana, and for the statement to take and say we do not have zoning here in the valley, I believe that's an absolute mistake, because when we were a town advisory board and we were made a town elected board, all resolution and ordinances were in effect at the time remains with the town until the town changes them. So we have many, many ordinances, zoning laws, and etc. It's just not well kept in the office of which laws we have. That's something I think that you should take a look at. But I don't see any reason for pulling H, because it's been properly recorded in the paper and so on. And I think that it's long overdue. And basically it comes down to the point that you as an employee of Acres would have to recuse yourself, and that would leave the other 3 people to say yay or nay. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Chief?
Yeah, Rich Flanagan, Fire Chief. I just want to get clarification. Were you going to pull O and P?
Yes.
Okay. My question is with P, I thought that was supposed to be the agenda item to approve our ambulance service so we can proceed further.
Let's see. Okay, well,
It has to be noticed in the newspaper. I think it's 2 weeks, once a week or 2 weeks before it, and have a meeting. And that wasn't done.
In Chief Flanagan's defense on P, as in Papa, it looks like he's just asking for the establishment of a line item on the budget. That's how come I was okay with it. The fact of the matter is, when we have a budget workshop and decide what we want to fund and not fund is where we'll actually be spending that money. And that budget workshop will be agendized, noticed, and a public meeting. He's just asking for a line item to be put in the balance sheet. And that's the way I understand it.
it's actually got 2 pieces. It's got to approve the establishment of the ambulance service and establish a budget under the general fund number so-and-so. So the ambulance service will be in the budget.
Okay.
So it will be in there as a line item.
Because that's where I was getting confused with P, because it's a redundancy between O and P, and I just thought
Yeah.
P was just gonna be the general vote for us to go ahead and move forward with the ambulance service.
No, well, I think we've already talked about that, and we are planning that will be in the budget.
Budget.
Yeah, it'll be a standalone line item in the budget.
Thanks.
I'll guarantee that. It'll be there.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you. The item does pass 3 to 1. Review and possibly approve the minutes of the Amargosa Valley Town Board meeting March 23rd, 2019. I make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
You want discussion?
Yeah, we've got a motion and a second, so let us know, Trevor.
Okay. I'd like to see this one continued because of a number of errors. This will be the second month in a row that we haven't had board member comments. One of Pat's comments and one of my comments were thrown in on item number 11, general public comment number 2 at the end of the meeting. But for board member comments, it shows 0. There was one item where I voted nay, and in the minutes it showed a yay. It's not a big deal. But if board member comments don't become part of the minutes, then those words don't get beyond this room. That troubles me. There were some other things. But yeah, there's problems, and I'd like to see it continued.
Okay, I will rescind my motion.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes subject to them being amended. Because then we have to read up. Because then we have to do two in a row. This way, if they should go back and make corrections.
I'll second that one because when I do board member comments, I'm reading from my own script, and I can furnish that.
Would you restate your motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we accept the minutes with the errors corrected.
Okay, all right. You're going to second that, Trevor?
Yeah, second is errors noted.
Okay,
I can
great.
second that.
All right, call for the vote. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Trevor, aye.
Okay, next, number 5, the fire department report. Chief Flanagan.
All right, Rich Flanagan, Fire Chief, with our report from March 28th to April 25th. Our monthly run so far, we've had no fires, structure fires, or brush fires of any kind. We responded to 7 medical calls. We did 4 landing zones, and we did 1 vehicle fire. We did a mutual aid response for a tanker fire in Shoshone, mutual aid to Southern Inyo Fire District. Our junior firefighter program is ongoing. Anyone who's 17 or 18 years old can apply. So far, we've had 1 individual join up, and he's a young man who lives in Pahrump. So we've had 1. During Amargosa days on Saturday, we will have information available for any of our youth, 17 or 18, who would like information about it. We'll talk to them on it. Training, we've recently completed a hazmat awareness class. When I'm done with my report, I have some certificates to hand out. In that class, we had a few volunteers from Amargosa. We had 1 volunteer from Pahrump Valley Fire and 1 volunteer from Southern Inyo County. Who attended that class, and everybody who was in that class, I believe it was around 8 or 9 people all passed. Again, currently, we have 9 volunteers who are taking the EMT course. Between classroom time, their time at home online, doing a ride on logs and everything else, this course is in excess of 200 hours of their time that they're doing so we can get this ambulance service up and running here in the valley. So they are putting a lot of effort into that. Their training ends on June 9th, and June 29th and 30th. All students, which we have pretty much most of them in, we have 9 folks taking it, like I said. They're going up to Tonopah to take their state test and national registry exam. And to close on that, our fire department training is ongoing. I've established a schedule for our state certification classes. They start in June, basically after a week that some of these folks are done with their EMT class. They're getting a week break and getting right back into it. Those classes that we have scheduled for the rest of the year is Hazmat Ops, Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2. The Firefighter 1 class ends in November, and with their dedication and hard work, we will have met all the state required certifications, and come, like I said, in November, you'll have a fully trained and certified fire department.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
And I just got a couple of certificates to hand out here real quick. We've got one from the State Fire Marshal Training for hazardous material awareness for Josh Hopper. Andrew Miller and Melanie Morales. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to take a minute here to commend the Chief and Bruce, our management team, on everything they've done with our fire department. And if we could have all the members of the fire department and the EMS stand up. Thank you. Now, an officer report. Okay, we're going to slip back here just a little bit. Ms. Mendick is sick this evening. So seeing as how I did this for years, I'm going to step in and I'll handle this for a little bit. First thing we're going to do is review the vouchers. If you take the Amargosa Days expenses, the vouchers, we come down to about $11,600 for the month, which is about where our normal deal is right about that. So expenses are all right in line with running the town. We've got a big facility here, fire department, the park, and everything. So we need a motion to approve the vouchers. I make the motion that we approve the vouchers as they are presented.
Comment?
We need a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
I was very pleased to see that Pat Menschel's initials got on all of the invoices this time. That was one of my comments last month. It gives me a lot of comfort knowing that Pat has looked at each of these. One thing I presume is just a typo is the same invoice was entered twice on our list of vouchers, and so it ends up twice in the total. The $809.12 Suburban Propane is in here twice. That's like I say, a typo, but
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a
easy
typo.
fix.
We can't pay it. We can't pay it twice. The county does watch those things. There's a little bit how the paperwork runs. When we submit a voucher, it gets paid, gets okay. The county does review those behind us, so I'm sure a red flag would, in fact, a red flag, you couldn't enter it twice. It'll kick up and kick it out. So we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Aye. Aye.
Trevor, aye.
4-0. Okay. Now we have we are right in the middle of our budget season 2 going on. We're waiting to get our documentation back from the state. So we have our current expenditure status report that was run on 4/24. What this is the current expenditures versus what we had projected we would spend for the year. So it kind of gives us a percentage on where we are at. Seems how we're 60 days short, so 10 is 12. We're right about 80-some% through the fiscal year. And so you see most of them, if you go to the very right column, starting on page 1 where it says percentage used, on the first page, 70%, 67%, 71. Then you got a couple that run over that. They run over 100. Those will be corrected prior to the end of the year, because that is a NRS violation if we hit the end of our fiscal year to the end of June with any negative accounts, so that will all be corrected. So it shows, you know, we're under 80-some% with most of our expenditures. The ones that are negative will have to be fixed. Now, the way that gets fixed, we can't just erase the negative. We just use other money that's within that quadrant, so to speak, of those funds. That's all that is. The one question I did have, I've never seen this before, but the very last page is a revenue status report of drug court proceeds. Kind of fits with my business, huh? So, I've never seen this before. I mean, if I read this thing right, it shows, somehow it shows $60,747 in revenues and another $169 in them, for a total of $230. John, do you know what that account is? John don't know. So, I don't know. I have no idea. There is no way they put 230 grand in our account. So
Yeah,
I'm right on that, right? Yeah, I figured that would be.
Mike,
Okay.
Mike, I'm going to call that a fat finger error, because already this year, twice, we've had inmate medical in our,
Yeah.
twice this year already, so
Okay.
can we call that a fat finger error?
Yeah, who knows that one. So overall, we're in pretty good shape. We have on the 20th of May, we have our tentative budget workshop, which at that time we will go through the tentative budget. I'll do all the huffing and puffing. One thing we got to do to get that done, because then at the end of May, that thing has to be submitted. And we had a few hiccups last year, so we got to fix all that. Yes, John?
Is the augmentation for the sheriff included in this report?
It didn't look like it. It looked like I just saw this thing this morning, John, so.
I can help with that, Mike.
Oh, can you?
I
Okay.
spent a good deal of time looking for that $117,000,
Yeah.
and I could not find it coming in, and I could not find it going out.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's an issue. We've got a ton of things that have to be addressed in a very short time frame here. So going back to when we did have the auditor here a couple weeks ago, in spite of the hiccups and stuff, actually we are in pretty good shape. The town boards in the past 5-6 years have worked very hard. We do not have any long-term debt. We're very good at that. And we do have 2 years worth of reserves built up in the bank. So in the event of some big old hiccup, you know, we'd be fine. So we're actually not too bad a shape there.
I have one question to ask on the augmentation. With the,
Oh, sure. Oh, you got it. You got it there.
I have a question, because the amount of money that's being augmented is for the sheriff, and isn't that the money that we voted, half of the money goes to the sheriff and half the money goes to the fire department?
Yes, and that's those PSST funds. And what got that thing in trouble is that the year before, last year at about this time, when the final budget was submitted, we had approved. She had submitted a request for about $80,000 or whatever it was in expenses, and that never got entered into the budget at all. So
It was my understanding that this had not been augmented for 3 years, and the money hadn't been put in the sheriff's account. My question is, was the money put in the fire department's account?
No, it was not, because the state separates that, whoever collects those fees for us. So the fire department money goes into, there is a separate PSST account for the fire department and a separate one for the sheriff. So the money is in there. It showed up on the audit. All what happened here is on our end, we did not plan for that expenditure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's one of those things. That's one of those really big negative accounts that's got to be fixed. plan of action going into the fiscal year for next year is that at the final budget, when it comes up at the end of May, the town will assign the expenditure numbers. And when we get the final number back from the state as to what is available in that block of accounts, we will be the ones responsible for splitting that up and then verifying it gets spent in the correct place. So that is the plan going forward, so we don't end up with this at the end of the year. Okay, now we are on committee reports. Economic development. Me again. Amargosa days. Down to the two oldest guys in the valley that work the most hours. Jeff and I are running that thing, doing the best we can. It's going to be a busy weekend. We are looking forward to Sunday afternoon. So we're going to start Saturday morning with what people have dubbed the shortest parade in the world. That we'll start at the fire department, make the left turn onto School Road, and end up down there at the arena. We do have the sheriff's K-9 unit is coming out to put on a demonstration. We have some jump house things for the kids, bounce houses for the kids. We got some water balloons, okay. And the climbing wall for the Boy Scouts. Big fireworks at the end, live entertainment. Scott's here. Yes, good. Scott will be playing Saturday night as our feature entertainment. We have another band from Pahrump on Friday night. And so a lot going on. We have about 5 taco vendors. So get your taste buds equipped for that. Horseshoes. We have where is that thing? There's a deal. Met with the guy today on the horseshoe thing. We have, I guess, a lot of money in this deal. We're putting 2 bills into it. They've got a couple $100 plus their entry fees and some other stuff. They're drawing people from Utah, Arizona, Nevada, California. So I guess that's going to be, we're working hard to get those ready to go. So it's going to be a very busy day over there. So please come out and have a good time. That's tourism. Human resources. Kurt, is anything going on? Great.
Hi, Kurt Stengel, Human Resources. I was granted some documents from Pat Mitchell having to do with HR, with the county logo on them. Evidently, from what I've been able to find out, chapters 1 through 4 have been screened by previous town board members. Chapters 5 through 13 are still in Nye County language. And a lot of this, 5 through 13, would have to be sorted out to be applicable to our town. I'm not been told as to what has been asked of HR other than here. And I'm waiting for an answer.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next, events committee.
I'm the liaison for the events committee, and I've spoken to about 6 different sets of parents, and we do have some interest in starting the events committee, but I'm thinking it's going to be closer to the end of May with everything going on. I just want to wait, but we will have an events committee for 4th of July and stuff like that.
Good. All right, thank you. Cemetery committee.
I guess that's me. We had a meeting this month. Still working on prices for burials, digging up the plot, etc. And again, just hoping we can get a grant to put trees or bushes back into the cemetery. And of course, the lady working on that has departed the forestry division. So I'm going to have to start all over again on that.
Pat, real quick, the conservation district has offered with trees
John, have you got an estimate on what it would cost for us to print that up in a nice color deal?
No, because we haven't been able to decide how we would have the maps reproduced. And the other factor is that there are so many things on the map that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
And it's a matter of determining how we will correct that. We probably will have to call for a workshop, have people come in and express if the map is correct for their location, because there's been so many changes in the valley since 2009. So that's been kind of like a nightmare.
Yeah, I understand. John's committee does a lot of work trying to put together a basic area plan for us. You know, and it's tough working with all the moving pieces out here, and then the feds own the biggest chunk of us. So.
Well, there are areas on the map that is not identified, and that has been sold, and it's a ranch and that type of thing, and we have to update the map so that we have an accurate, hopefully as accurate as possible, the use in the valley. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Senior Center report, Diane. And CJ. Anybody else?
Hello, I'm CJ, site manager from Senior Center, and I'm going to give a report on the number of meals that we served in the month of March. We had, upside down, sorry, 434 total meals. That included the congregate or senior citizens, and 29 for guests, 89 for homebound. We delivered meals out to parties that cannot come to the center. We have a volunteer that does that for us. And we also served 21 days out of the year, or out of the month, sorry. And we also provided commodities, meals, and food distribution to 120 families in the month of March. We do that and we'll continue, and we're working on our commodities building, which Diane will present. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane Brigham, volunteer at the Senior Center. Things have been moving really fast with that building, the commodities distribution building project, with $2,500 pledged from Desert View Hospital. We're just that far from $45,000 raised for that building. If you include the materials that have been provided and labor that's been donated or discounted, we're well beyond that $45,000 mark. The trenching has been done for footings, well, the pad's done for the building. Trenching for footings, forms are in for the footings. The plumbing is pretty much done, so the slab can be poured, and I'm not sure what the date is on that. The building was delivered today, all those metal pieces. The insulation will be delivered Tuesday. So it's moving faster than any of us thought it would. So, I want to read something CJ wrote. It'll be in the newsletter. This is a community-based project sponsored by Amargosa seniors. The support we've received from the residents, community, and local businesses has been amazing. Without your support, we would be unable to construct this much-needed building and continue to provide commodities to our residents in an environmentally friendly location. Like I said, the businesses, some very generous individuals have helped this all come together. And it really is amazing. So thank all of you.
Thanks, Diane. Number 8, board member comments. Trevor?
Thanks, Mike, and I hope this ends up in the minutes. First, I want to apologize for the town office if we were John Mueller, or Acres Cultivation. He provided a letter, and it's in our backup, complaining that he didn't receive proper notice on one or more of the agenda items. And we took town board action years ago saying that we like marijuana. Since then, we've developed an ordinance that's kind of in the pipeline. But I want the town to maintain a warm relationship with the marijuana industry. And I'm sorry if we took a misstep there.
Yes, in the DOCC meeting, there was somebody that was appointed to work with the Agriculture Extension, University of Nevada, and on the 4-H program. That person is going to be in Tonopah, and they are going to be available to help with 4-H programs here and in Beatty. Also, last month in public comment, I mentioned, and I want you all to pay attention when you leave or come back on 373, going towards Pahrump or coming back from Pahrump. It was a mess, and we had a cleanup there last Saturday. Carmen and her children showed up. Gabby, and I can't remember her last name, and her children showed up. And Jennifer, Lindsay, and her child showed up. Trevor and myself, we probably hauled away, well, 3 cars full of junk, 25 to 30 bags, plus a lot of very, very large items. So it's much, much cleaner than it was. We have Amargosa days coming out, and people are not going to see all that trash that was there. So it really worked out well. But I want to add that I would like to see in the spring and fall and winter months that we do this on a monthly basis, have a community cleanup on our different roads, because a lot of our different roads really need it. That's all.
I got derailed there. Number 2 was, as I've said in previous months, I believe we need a capital projects workshop. Number 3, as I've said 3 times this year already, I believe we need a budget workshop. Mike has announced that we have one on May 20. I feel that we should have started much sooner than this. I want to thank Hope for coming out and helping us with this meeting tonight. And I also want to say, please, please volunteer for Amargosa Days and participate in Amargosa Days. And that was the end of the list.
I feel like this is, am I really loud? No?
You're always loud.
So, I know, I don't need this, but, Trevor, I want to thank you for saying that, because I was actually going to say something about that tonight, about the letter, or whatever the notification was. I personally did not agree with what went out, and I've had this conversation with quite a few of you. I'm thankful for the businesses that are here and trying to grow here, because our town needs it. Our young adults need it. So anything that is going to be a benefit to Amargosa, I think that's what we need to work on. And we need to have a good relationship with those businesses and have clear communication. I want to thank the fire department, because I love how all of you are here tonight to stand up for what you've been working so hard for. And I believe that it is necessary to have all of you here and have an ambulance service as well. I want to figure out how to get you there. You need it. We need it. You are working your rear ends off for this entire valley, and I don't think you guys are thanked enough. So thank you. Benny, I love you. I want to thank, Deb went home. I believe she has the flu, and I'm thankful she went home. But what I loved is that so many of you said, I will help tonight. So thank you to Lab. Thank you to, well, Benny. I don't know what you're doing, but thank you. Melanie. Thank you, you guys. You guys are so kind, and I love how you have just been out there every day working on that park. Both of you have just been working so hard, and that park looks really, really good, and it's been a really long time. So thank you.
Okay, I guess I won't be as glamorous and positive as the others. On May 20th, we have our tentative budget workshop. At that time, I want the agenda to focus primarily on the budget. I want to start with general public comment. We will only have 2 items. One is to elect a new chairman and a vice chairman. 2 is to review the tentative budget, put the final numbers together so that when we make the presentation just a few days later, the end of May, we can get that thing approved. At that point, I would like to see all the communication that we've had with the state regarding the tentative budget that was submitted, proof that the budget was posted. That budget has got to be posted within a pretty narrow time frame in the local paper to meet that. I want a current expenditure status report, copy of the tentative budget, and then end with general public comment. So I will send a notice to the town office to have that meeting structured that way. We'll be paying bills and stuff at the meeting just a couple days later, so we don't need to go through all that routine on this one. That's mine. Okay, let's get out of general business. A, B, C, and D all got pulled. We are on E, which is for possible action, discussion, deliberation, motion to establish a policy applying for grants. When applying for fire ambulance grants, some grant applications seek local town board approval. Does the ABTV approve all grant requests, or does the fire chief just apply? I would like to make the motion that the fire chief can apply for all the grants. Any of those that require town participation, all grants are not just a free ticket. Some of them depend upon their federal, state, county, whatever. Most of them require some degree of participation. So if there's no participation, feel free to go ahead. Please just keep my motion, I'm just making a motion, to go ahead and apply. If there is any town involvement required, whether it's our approval or our contribution, then please come to the town for approval. That is my motion.
I second. Sorry, Trevor.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Do we have any public comment?
The only thing is, very definitely, if there's lots of times it's a 50-50. In other words, the town would have to match, so very definitely they would have to come back to the town board.
Yeah, right. Okay, call for the vote.
Maybe it goes without saying that the fire chief has to have a relationship with the town office so that aren't surprises. But I'm with Mike that you should have a free hand searching and applying, and only need to consult us when you need a commitment from us. So this is great. Thanks.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes.
Trevor, aye.
Okay. Presentation for First Solar. Is there a young man? No. Oh. Hey, did you? Okay, is there anybody here for First Solar? No. I know their project is progressing. It's just around the corner from where I am, so I see a lot of trucks going by. These public utility projects take forever. When they first came to the board, 13, John? 12 to 13? It's when First Solar first came to the town board, so it's easily been 6 years. And just a general oversight, they're going to have a ton of people out there during construction. After that, it will settle down to hopefully 5 to 8 permanent local jobs. Not a lot of moving parts in a solar project, so they have a lot of people out there to dust off the solar things. So, not a lot of oil on nothing. So, do you have a comment? Do we need to read something into the deal?
Actually, I am late to school, and we actually have Joe here for civil wise.
Okay.
Here to discuss IMD.
John, can we do that once it's been up and down? I don't know. So,
There might be a way, there should be a way that, as a courtesy, we let him have the microphone. The item has been pulled, yes.
Yeah, the item's pulled, where, if you, if, we will have a general public comment at the end, and why don't you, I wish we'd have known you were here.
I was in the bathroom.
Oh, we don't have a speaker in there. How long is your presentation?
It's as long as you want it to be.
Oh,
We were just sitting here.
I'm sorry, it's already been pulled. Yeah, general public comments at the end? Yeah, and we'll allot you more, I'll give you my 3 minutes. Okay, so let's please make sure that you come up with that last part of general public comments. Okay. But we have nobody here for solar. Okay, so F is gone. G, H, I. Okay. Well, it's good for him to see how local government operates. I'll talk to him in the morning. Okay, number I. Yeah, I think, okay. We'll do that. Get through all this. Where'd that thing go? Yeah, HRJ, where is that not?
Oh, it's in your room.
That's what I'm looking for. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. We're on the wrong one. I'm sorry. Okay, 9I. We have a motion, possible action, discussion, deliberation, hire attorney Arlette Nuveen as the town attorney to set up a funding account and fund the account at the public hearing on 5/20/2019. Physical impact, the hourly fee quoted is $250 per hour, requires placing the fund in a client trust account for payment. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we do hire Arlette Newby as our attorney, and at the meeting in May, set up a funding account for discussion.
Second for discussion. Do we want to invite her up first?
Sure. If you'd like to take the floor for a second, then we'll have other comments.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arlette Newfine. Despite how young I may look, I am an attorney. You might be wondering how I got here. I grew up in Pahrump, Nevada. Went to high school out there. I think I might have even played a volleyball game in this gym. Went to California for undergrad, went to law school in San Diego, and I woke up one day and said, I'm surrounded by too much cement. And little did I know I'd end up coming back to Pahrump and taking my skill set and bringing it back home, which my mom was obviously super happy about. And I began working for an attorney, Thomas Gibson, working civil litigation for him. He does criminal mostly. And I started taking civil cases with him, passed the bar, and I said I'm going to open my own practice. So I did. I started taking on my own clients. And just as a series of events that happened, I represented Carl and Kayla Mitchell at the BOCC level for permitting, zoning issues, related issues. I've worked with Michael DeLee, he's a member here. And then I was approached by the board, specifically Pat Minshall at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. She mentioned the need for an attorney. I then came out 2 meetings ago, so 2 months ago, and I heard the CPA's report, which I thought was very informative. Began talking to Jimmy, who I realize isn't here anymore. I've spoken to Trevor. I believe I ran him down in the Walmart parking lot. And I just started looking into the different issues. I read the opinion from
that John Basta solicited from the senator's office. I see the issues with the marijuana cultivation. I see the issues with, just from, talking through the community, I'm sure there's more issues, but it's, balancing between, bringing up younger generation and keeping them here in town versus, holding the integrity of the rural town of Amargosa, people who've invested their money in property and other things like that. And again, I've just been having several conversations, and, I ended up calling Pat and telling her, I'll show up today. Obviously, you guys have to pass the item. And I just wanted to come up here and introduce myself because I know a lot of times attorneys are ugly and scary, and I like to think I'm not one of them. But nonetheless, I still have the skill set and the experience that might be able to drive your guys' ideas forward and, utilize the town board how it's supposed to be utilized. Limited by open meeting law, obviously. There is some carved out exceptions in open meeting law, to deliberate with attorneys. Obviously, you can't make any decisions or final orders without, proper notice and so forth. And just sitting here today, listening through the agenda items, just taking notes on things that I've been hearing and potential people to talk to, and just some comments that I've heard today. I've read, the Senate bill, the opinion on it. In my opinion, I think that there would be, a way to provide a shield, if you will, as the town board of Amargosa, to be able to bring in those funds and use the money where the actual, product is being grown. I think just as a policy standpoint, you guys are the ones that are dealing with the zoning regulations of marijuana and, having to deal with the smell of it. I'm sure that's, causing everyday, you smell it every day. Oh, okay, well, then that's fine too, but my point is, you guys are subjected to the fact that it's here and you have to deal with it. I think you guys should get the money for it. Now, to legally drive that bus is a whole other story that would obviously need to be dived into after I'm retained. Obviously, I can't, provide legal counsel or actually work at all for you until I'm retained on, the lawyer-client relationship side, which would be, my attorney-client relationship would be with the town board, who theoretically represents the town. So that's pretty much all I have. I can field some questions if that's what you would like. Or
Yes, I have one. I saw you had a chart on what the yearly, you had an hourly, you have an
Yes.
hourly rate, so many weeks that.
That was a suggestion. So this is, I know exactly, I emailed Jimmy, and when I came for the meeting 2 months ago and heard the CPA report, I saw that there was no actual budget for legal expenses. So I suggested, you guys are doing budgeting season, perhaps, allocating some money for a legal budget. Like I said, I charge $250 an hour for my time. However much time you buy is how much money I spend. So just to clarify how that works is I have a trust account, a client trust account. Whatever money you put as a retainer in my account, I can then use to, one, pay myself after providing an itemized report of my work and who requested it and so forth. And then I can also use that fund to make any expenditures that I may have with filing fees, things like that. But again, all of that's itemized and broken down for you guys, however you want it, really, monthly, quarterly. I understand the fiscal year and your budget and how, things can get tricky. So I'm open for how that may work for you. I have made that suggestion. You can retain me quarterly, you can retain me monthly. Again, that's something for you guys to decide.
I have a comment, Mike. Okay, fine. I want to remind the audience and the town, the board, Mike and I might be the only two that remember when we became an elected town board, we were presented with a bill for $4,900 from some lawyer in Las Vegas. And when we went to look at the itemized bill, it was $75 here for a phone call, $75 there for a phone call. need to have some controls on who calls and who asks. I don't want to be authorized to be one of the people who calls. There should only be one person calling, otherwise we get the same question answered 5 times.
Sure, yes. So what I've done in the interim, I've made a couple phone calls. I talked to the city of Caliente and Mesquite just to kind of get an idea of how they work. I know they're a city, it's different from being in town. What they do is they designate one person, just as you'd say. And in my retainer agreement, it would specifically say this person is designated to, use up my time, for lack of a better word. To be frank, I use my cell phone as my work phone. People call me, I pick up my phone. And I'm not going to work for somebody who's not my client. So I wouldn't be the attorney for each of you as an individual. I would be the attorney for the town of Amargosa. So the issues that come through would have to, properly noticed, gone through the hearing, and then brought forth and then decided on, and then, okay, yes, this is what we're gonna do. Let's call the lawyer and see how we can get it done.
Just a quick comment on our fiscal history for about the last 5 or 6 years. We have managed to save, we've averaged $50,000 a year for the last 5 years that we have been able to save. We've grown our account balance from 2.25 to right around $500,000. We have done that. We cut the wheels out from under expenses. We ran that town office on 20 hours a week. Town office is now up to 60 hours a week. We have the ambulance service coming, which needs 100% of our attention. So there will be some funds from where I work. That's still a year away before that gets really cooking. So that's where we're at on a financial standpoint. Carmen, do you have any comments?
My question was just about the retainer, but she's answered that, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Discussion,
Is that,
public comment?
if somebody would like to come forward, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself there.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to make a public comment on this motion. I served here for 8 years at this very table. And in those 8 years, we did not need to go ahead and have a professional attorney who would be able to pick up the phone, get on the internet, talk to other folks. And you know what? We came up with some pretty good decisions. We didn't have to get all balled up and hire an attorney to be the town board pit bull. Also, what happens, I think Mr. Mike Cunningham makes a really good comment, is we don't have a lot of extra money to spend. The money we spend to this other person for $250 an hour is money that could be way better spent helping support and supplant very needed, necessary services in this community. Ambulance, firefighters, and all the rest. So I would say, I would urge this board that you're trying to come up with a solution for a problem that should not exist. Thank you.
John Boston, I would encourage the board to approve this item. The main reason is that, like, for example, we have the marijuana ordinance. And people take and say, well, it hasn't been reviewed by an attorney. Basically, the ordinance that we have is exactly the same ordinance that the county has, and I'm quite sure the county has had an attorney look at it. But I think to settle the dispute, the proposed ordinance that we have written could be reviewed in a very short amount of time and could be corrected or directed by the attorney. We are now in a position that, for example, the issue on marijuana is that the county has no authority inside of the town, That is both by the Assembly Bill 422 and the Senate Bill 478. The town has the authority to collect the money for the marijuana. The county is holding approximately $80,000 of marijuana money that they have collected. Is that $80,000 could be applied to the payment of this attorney. It could also be applied to the ambulance service. We are in need of money. We are in need of legal advice. And it is getting much more difficult to operate. And I highly recommend that you hire the person and you could have the person work, and you could work for a year or whatever amount of time that is needed. Doesn't have to be working every day. But the thing is that we are in need of legal advice. I highly recommend that you approve this contract.
My name is Kurt Thompson. I do have a question for the board. You haven't really explained how much the budget is that you want to put forth for this attorney. Do you have that available before you pass this?
So far, her rate is $250 an hour. The budget that was, of course, this is all tentative. The number that I saw, was in that $75,000 range per year, but it had X number of hours a week, so much a month, so on and so forth. Of course, that would be controlled going forward.
This is $75,000. You anticipate on paying with no realistic possibility of winning in court on this. Have you tried discussing with Nye County first this option, and maybe you could bring that forth?
Sure. The policy used to be, when Brian Coonsey was the DA, it was phone call. He would go talk to him, helped us out in a number of issues. Of course, that was when we were just getting started. Then Miss Bello became the DA, and well, she didn't like any small towns, so we got nothing. And I was hoping that when Mr. Rabia got in there, that it kind of slipped back to where Brian was. We haven't seen that yet. So the deal is supposed to be that the DA will represent us, except in cases where we're trying to sue Nye County. Making sense, but
I just hope that you put a budget together.
Yes.
And that I can understand, Council, there's no reflection on you whatsoever.
Yeah.
Her fee is very fair, the hourly rate that she is offering. However, our board has got to set up a budget so that $75,000 is an awful lot of money for us to spend.
That's darn near 25% of our gross revenue. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Mastro is the new master grower at Acres/Curaleaf.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm not a master grower, but I'm here to help this company succeed, but that's neither here nor there. Just removing myself from my company here and hearing some of the concerns revolving around this, if we're going to spend $75,000 of, correct me if I'm wrong, cannabis tax money? Oh, all right. I was like, this makes no sense, but that money seems to me, as an outsider, I've lived, in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, I lived in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, and I lived the last 10 years in Montana, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I'm here now, so I'm used to small towns and whatnot, and, the importance of the community is so huge in these situations, and I know a lot of you probably won't care what my opinion is, but I've only been here for 3.5 weeks, and I know half the people here, and every day I drive by, I see the town park, I see people playing and whatnot, and it's really cool, and it seems to me that this money would be much better spent on more community-based provisions, whatever it is. And also for the youth, to help, this town, because there are a lot of people here with kids and things like playing baseball. grew up playing baseball. My brothers and friends, and you know, we recently just bought a new home plate. Didn't cost $250. It's going to get a lot more than an hour's worth of use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a comment I'd like to make. First of all, we are a growing community. And in your 8 years, this was an advisory board, not an elected town board. So basically, the BOCC controlled the town, not the town.
And we
As I
still
said,
had our
we are growing.
firefighters, and we
don't
still had
need-
our police force, and we still had our ambulance.
We are a growing town, and at some time, we are going to need an attorney. I am not in favor of a $75,000 stipend, but I think it's something that we need to discuss, need to look into for our protection. Somebody that can go over the things that we are bringing forward in the town to making sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. Thank you.
Okay.
Somebody else.
Oh, Marcia.
I was going to come be still, but I should know I can't. Very seldom do I disagree with John, and I'm only going to disagree with part of what he had to say. We are going to need some legal help after the meeting last month, I'm sure, in order to get those funds released to us. But to hire an attorney in general, not for a specific problem, is to me a little bit of a solution looking for a problem. I think maybe we need to identify the problems specific first, then look at our budgets and allocate for what the outcome balances against what would be spent. And I'm not saying we're not going to need legal assistance ever, but I think to have a full-time attorney is a little premature. Thank you.
Agreed.
John Koenig, my county commissioner, your liaison. If you guys are hiring attorneys strictly to try and get your marijuana money, the deal was you were going to wait until the legislature was done. There's a legislature bill up there which probably won't get acted on because they're not touching marijuana, but it's something we put up there that's been agreed to by other counties and by NACO, all right? We are working on ourselves an MOU to give you most of that money. We do a lot of work to get you that money. We police it. We spend time doing the permits, all the rest of the stuff. We're not doing that for free, because if we did it for free, that means people in Tonopah would be paying for your marijuana here, and that's not fair, okay? We are not saying we're not going to give you the money. I have specifically instructed the controller to put that money in a separate account so it doesn't get spent until we figure out what we're going to do with it. You're going to get most of that money. We're going to take some of that money because we need it to continue doing what we're doing. Unless you want to let your office do all your paperwork and all the rest of the stuff that we do. But there's still a question of things like a special use permit. That's zoning. Okay? A town can't do zoning. Check the NRS. All right? So if that's the only reason you're doing this, either don't do it right now or put it off or something else.
Good evening. My name is Hope Budd, and I've been the administrative assistant here since January 10th of this year. And I've seen a lot of paperwork come through the office. However, I feel that the actual amount of the retainer fee is not being fully disclosed here. I recall papers going through that office that clearly stated $100,000. Why that's not in there, I don't know. So that's my public comment. I believe this needs to be postponed. Thank you.
I apologize for not making my statement clear so let me just back up. I went to the board meeting that had the CPA report, and I noticed there was no legal budget whatsoever. My proposal, which is the paperwork that you might have seen, was setting a budget for $100,000. A budget. I'm not telling you to put $100,000 in my pocket. I'm saying that when legal issues arise, sometimes quick action needs to be taken, and that's just my experience in civil litigation. So $100,000 budget, the way you want to pay me and put a retainer, you want to put $2,000 in my pocket, $8,000, again, not in my pocket, my client trust account, and then I can allocate those funds as I earn it, as I disclose to you my itemized bill. A second thing is, I've never been compared to a dog, but I believe I was just compared to a pit bull 5 minutes ago. I'd like to consider myself a little nicer than that when I'm speaking to my clients, my client would be the town board who represents the people. So if you have confidence in your board to do the things it is that represents your opinion, that's my client, that's who I take direction from. I'm not a shark, I'm not, I run my business, I work as people need me, and I do what's required of me. Civil litigation is a lot of work. Not knowing how much time you're going to require of me, I can't just say, pay me $5,000. I can't do that. That's not the way this works. I don't know exactly what you need, because I haven't even explored your documents other than the meetings that I've been at. So, I don't want to come here thinking that I'm going to run Amargosa. That is not my intent. I'm a lawyer. I've worked my entire life to become a lawyer, and that's what I intend to remain as a lawyer. And I zealously advocate for my clients, and if the town board became my client, then that's exactly what I would do in a way that they would want me to do it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for your consideration. I'll be here potentially.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Melanie, did you have a comment? Okay.
Melanie Morales. I just want to say, if the town board is doing what the community is asking, it seems that most of the people that are here in the audience are against retaining an attorney right now at this time. I'd like to answer that comment, because most of the people that are in this meeting tonight have never come to a meeting or have come to very, very few meetings. So this is not representing who usually comes to the meetings. And to come to the meetings and clap against something one time, I think is out of line.
Let's go voters. Yeah, how is that out of line?
My name is Sunny Mateo. This is first time I came here, but I hear so many people come to my store, talk about things about this town. Today I come here, I agree with a lot of people say, we may need a lawyer one day, but if we have enough budget now, I think we need to do the fire station first, then we need to do the kids. Thinking about that, summer is coming, but our kids have no place to go. I don't have kids here. I only have me and my husband. But every day I see so many cute kids come to my store. I love them. You say a lot of people never come here, but we live here. Not mean we don't care about this town. Okay? So my English is not good, but I just want to say lawyer is important. But for our budget, that is not we need to do now. Thank you. You understand my English? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me the opportunity to make one more comment. I just thought I heard something from this current board stating that, well, you don't come here all the time, you don't come here very often. Because you don't come here all the time, your voice should not count. I take exception with that. I'm an American citizen. I voted in the last election. I served 8 years on this board. I served 6 years as a Nevada State Assemblyman. And to say that because I'm not here every week, my voice doesn't matter, BS.
ourselves. And I think to have an attorney look at something in the beginning will save us a lot of money. The thing is there are a lot of people here in the audience. Yes, you are a citizen. You come to this meeting because you have one purpose, and that is to destroy what this board has worked a hard time. What you are losing sight of is there are people in this community who volunteer their time for this community to help save the expenses. It has got to a point now that the people who are doing the work for the community are being challenged. Your work has not been reviewed by an attorney. And that is some of the people in this audience. And the thing is that it is very easy to go down to a store and bitch and complain and moan. But it is not necessarily the true representation of what is going on here in the community to make it successful. What you're going to do is you're going to drive the volunteers that are helping us to get to this point, stop volunteering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, we beat this thing to death. We've got a motion, we've got a second. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Fails 2-2. Okay, purchase for possible action, discussion, deliberation, purchase a utility trailer from the VEA auction of excess vehicles and trailers for use by the fire department. VEA is holding an auction. I know they got a bunch of equipment. Chief, do you have any idea of a budget that we're looking for? Bruce? Okay. We had no backup to that, so we've got to come up with a number.
Yeah, Bruce Jensen with the fire department. Just to let everybody know what this is, it's a trailer for our four-wheeler where we can have it ready to go. It'll be mounted on the trailer, we can hook up and go. As it is now, it takes too long to go get the trailer to haul our four-wheeler to the dunes. We've got our bystanders and their four-wheelers to help us. We sent a letter to VEA asking them to donate this, and we're told it's a real possibility, but if not, if we can get it for $400 or $500, it'd be well worth it.
Okay, if we set a budget of $750, would that be within the deal, you think?
We can't do that tonight.
Because it's not on the agenda. So, John, could we do that? No. Yeah, see, we did. Should have caught you guys soon. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Rich Flanagan, Fire Chief. With the work that Bruce has put into this and the letter that Hope sent out, it looks like they'll probably donate the trailer to us. But if it looks like it's going to go in a different direction before we make a commitment, we'll ask them to hold on to that trailer and bring it before the board to get a decision where we're going to go with it.
Okay, and if that doesn't work out for you, there is money in that PSST account. Go get a price on a good trailer, bring it forward.
Okay.
And there's, we need to put that money to work. Okay.
There's another angle on this. The fire department has their own budget and has discretion on a lot of stuff. And I could argue that this doesn't require board action if it's their money.
Yeah, that's the other side. If it's within your budget, just bring the thing forward. It should work. That's what we count on you guys to stay within that. Okay, Kay.
So we're done.
Yeah, don't Jake. Possible action, discussion, deliberation, adopt, amend, or adopt and reject the Amargosa Valley fee schedule as submitted. Has this been properly posted and so forth? I think these things have to be. It's in the backup here, John. Oh, just this fee schedule. We got no. Okay, here it is on V11 says miscellaneous rates. Ambulance response treatment, no transport.
There's actually another page on the back table that goes along with that.
Okay.
item that was on last month.
I don't believe it has been. Can we check with the, was
Okay,
it put in
let's,
the
at this point,
newsletter?
yeah, at this point, let's assume it has been. That will be one of the conditions for the final approval, is that we need proof of posting. Do that. Okay. Well, hold on, Chief.
Well, you can move, but you know,
Okay.
stay up.
No, that's it, we're still, okay. Okay, I make a motion that we adopt the Amargosa fee schedule as submitted that we have here, adopt Chapter 12 of the Amargosa Valley Code and set an effective date subject to proof of posting. So I'll make the motion. I'd like a second, and I've got a comment.
Second.
Is it, there's part of it here, where's the other part? Do you have that one last page, John?
Flip the one more page on the back. Flip one more and see if it's back.
Okay, I'll just read this to you real quick. Ambulance response treatment, 215, bariatric, greater than 300 pounds, additional $16.95, ambulance rate per mile, 31, mental health attendants, 800, staging, standby, fire hazmat per current BLM rates. So I will make the motion. I need a second, and we'll have discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a comment. I know that we need to do this. We need to bill insurance. I struggle billing residences and people that live here. I'm all for billing commercial. That's dealing with a whole nother mindset. They have the commercial deal. They have people that deal with the insurance companies. They have auditors and stuff. It does not affect you personally. On a personal basis, even though if we were to go after farmers or whoever it is still liable to reflect on you in an increased rate later on. So if there is some way we could not bill the local residences, I would be ecstatic over that. And, you know, we kind of projected that we stay going to the commercial ones because it's a whole different deal. So that's just my comment.
I'd like to make a comment on that. I would agree with that, and it might be that this should only apply when you can bill insurance companies. And I don't know whether we want to,
We could add things to this later on if we wanted to.
Like I said, for some reason, this particular page was not included with your agenda. But if I could kind of explain what this is all about.
Just real quick, we do have the proof of posting here, so it's properly posted, so we're in good shape.
oh,
Great. That's just one of them, John. I think you need the other page.
no, this is just marijuana.
Is that marijuana?
This is just marijuana.
Which one do you have?
Basically, what we're talking about, like I said, unfortunately, the page that I have here is on the back table. It wasn't included in the paperwork for the board. But what we're looking at here for the fire department as we're moving along here with stuff, throughout the country, volunteer departments, especially in rural areas, try to bill for services to help offset the cost and budget items that we deal with the town and local budget. Over the last few months, Bruce has done a lot of legwork, and I've looked into it. of talking to different billing companies where what we're going to bill for, what I'll cover here, is going to be directly to insurance companies. All right? Now, with the billing companies, the reason why we're going with them is they deal with medical billing. They'll take care of making notifications to appropriate insurance companies like Medicare, Medicaid, and whatever else is out there. They'll do all that legwork for us, set up an account, and then how we do our reporting, especially on the ambulance side of it, they will, at least depending on how we set it up, monthly or quarterly, access our patient reports, look at that, bill it appropriately, and what they'll do when we get to the budget meeting is they charge a percentage of what we collect out of what we bill for. So that's how they get paid. So to start getting some money in here to put into the fire department budget or the ambulance budget to help offset some cost on wear and tear of materials in our vehicles and so forth. I put together this billing schedule. It pretty much mirrors what the county ambulance service has been or was charging. So there's the fees in here. We'll go with the ambulance service for basic life support, transports, which when we get the ambulance up and running here in the county, or the town, that was a bad way to go. Excuse me. I think I just used my 9th life there. No, but really, when we get our ambulance service going right now, it's going to be for basic life support. And we have 2 charges here, one which is non-level emergency, which is if you get hurt, you need to be transported, we don't need to go lights and siren and all that type of deal. There's a charge for that. But if it is a dire emergency where you need to go by ground and we need to go with lights and sirens, then there's another charge for that. I put in here for advanced life support transport. That is, once the ambulance is up and running and we move on through a couple of years and we want to upgrade our level from basic EMTs to advanced EMTs or paramedic level down the road, this will already be in the fee schedule. The permit that I'm submitting to the state to get the ambulance service running will include this. So down the road, once that permit is in there, and all this stuff is in the permit, and we decide to up our level of service, we can do it without having to go through the permit process again. So we have that in there. And along with the billing companies, and we're still deciding, I know this will eventually become a touchy subject here as far as billing our local residents. We're still discussing how we're going to handle that, but the billing companies that we've talked to so far given us a little leeway on that as far as what we can do. And once everything is settled, and we definitely have things set to start moving for the next fiscal year, we'll bring that pretty much together, and I'll bring it in front of everybody and let you know exactly how that's going to work. Okay? So it's not going to be that difficult. Also on the fire side of the house, we're also looking to bill for services there. Part of the paperwork is what the chairman was just reading. One is listed as rescue for vehicle rescues. We have motor vehicle accidents. We have to go out to use our extrication tools, basically the jaws of life, that kind of stuff.
Chief, I hate to interrupt, but after multiple ones of us looked at this, it has only been posted one time.
Really?
Yeah.
It has to be posted more than that?
Yeah, it has to be posted twice, between 10 and 20 days.
But I'd like to ask a question. It sounds like you're going to have to hire a billing company to do the billing, is that correct?
Right.
And how much is that going to cost?
Well, depending on which billing company we go to, they take a percentage of whatever we collect on the bill. The one billing company that we're looking at, depending on the billable amount that we send out and what's collected back in, one billing company will take 8% of what's collected for their fee.
Mr. Chairman, on your code that we adopted, the Amargosa code, you have to post it, I believe, one time in the paper stating difference of $3,000 versus $20 to $50.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that made a huge difference, because that
So I
trench is
would
really
double check the posting requirements.
Yeah, we will do that. So Chief, why don't you proceed, subject to, you know, we're gonna have these.
Okay. I'll make it real short because I know everybody's been here for a long while. Basically, for fire services that we're looking at doing is for, like I said, for motor vehicle accidents, different level of stuff that we deal with extrication and using our tools there. Another big thing is hazmat. If we have a hazmat incident here and we need our fire equipment to stand by, volunteers to stand by for a long period of time, how we handle that is the shipping company who's transporting the material through town or down to the 95 corridor, any cleanup or any services that are associated with that after hazmat teams mitigate the problem, get everything under control. You need cleanup crews to take care of that. We need to stand by for that. So the way I'm looking at it is if we're going to have our equipment out there standing by and our volunteers out there, why not get something back for our time? And how that is billed is I get the information, being incident command, you get the information to the trucking company, we call them, we send the bill directly to that company. They're the ones that pay that bill to us. We did have a hazmat incident out here a few years ago, and I know the board or the town had tried to bill for that service, and since you didn't have this in place, they were unable to collect some money. And again, this is just to help us get extra money into our budget from outside sources and insurance companies, whether it be health insurance or automobile insurance or whatever, just to help us maintain our equipment and not have to task the board and the budget so much for that. And then there's other fees in there, which was in the packet. So that's basically what we're looking for on our fee schedule. But in order for us to move forward, especially with the ambulance, and to do anything for billing, this needs to be approved and voted on. Thank you.
John Koenig, once again, my county commissioner, liaison to your board. The question came up, Pat, about the billing company. Trust me, I go back, I don't know, 13, 14 years with the town board. They used to try and do it themselves, and seem to remember every 3 or 4 months they'd write off close to $1 million. When the town board went away and the county were acting as, you know, sort of the town board, we do most of it now. We have a billing company. We haven't written any money off in, I don't know, a year and a half or more. So it's well worth the 8%.
I agree, it's just that I wanted to know, you know,
Yeah.
what was in place, was something going to be in place to do
Right.
that?
It's a smart thing to do. You guys really don't want to get involved in doing
But I'm
this.
not, you know, I'm not seeing anything in writing about that.
Just one more thing to back up what John was saying. The company, one of the companies that Bruce has talked to, and him and I talk about all this time, and I happened to be in the office today, he talked to this one company. My past experience back east working with a private ambulance service, it was difficult to collect money. But this company here basically told us whatever we would bill out, whether it would be ambulance-wise or fire-wise, that they said their success rate as far as helping ambulance services or whoever billed, they're telling us we can get 75 to 80% return on what we bill for. So that's quite a lot.
I would like to amend my motion until we get the hard number back on this. I think we all understand we need this. It's a great benefit. Using that billing company is a huge asset, especially if they return 75 to 80%, because I think it's probably less than 10 when you try and do it yourself. So I would like to pull my original motion, make a motion that we table this. If you could get a copy of that contract, please, to bring forward, so next time we understand how important this is. We all want to do it. The schedule is very reasonable. So if you can, we'll verify just exactly how many times it's got to be posted, and then bring that contract forward, and we do it hopefully quickly, would be a thought. So that's my motion.
Second.
We don't need any more comment. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Trevor, aye. There we go. Okay, we are down to the, excuse me, I get the clip here. sorry. We'll get you up here in a minute. Just come on up, we'll get you space. And you got 6 minutes. Go first.
Yeah, okay. Diane Brigham, resident of Amargosa Valley. I would like to make a suggestion to the board, and I don't know if it would have to be on the chairman's action or vice chairman to consider having a budget workshop. What you have May 20th is your budget hearing, and rather having a free-for-all at that time, that we have a special meeting for a budget workshop where we can discuss how to bring the budget in line with the revenues, including the PSST money, and so we preserve a better part of that money that's been accumulated. The public, of course, could be involved, but the parties that are involved, I think, need to hammer out something that's in line with the revenues.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Look into that.
John Costa, I have some documents that I would like to present to the board on the marijuana issues. And here's a copy of Assembly Bill 422. Here's a copy of the Senate Bill 487. This is a spreadsheet summarization of what the county collected in terms of marijuana fees. And you can see that they collected $1,227,000, and there's $31 million produced by the marijuana companies that the county has licensed. The two documents that I gave you, you can see that the county has collected money in color of the law. What's rather interesting to me now is Mr. Koenig is going to take and give you part of your money back, and he's going to also send you a bill for having done something underneath the color of the law. And I don't think that you should accept anything except what is owed to you. This is the amount of money that is owed to the This is the amount of money that the county has collected from the state on their 15%. And this is totally money that's in and above what the county has collected, and that is nowhere reflected in their budget. I just think that basically what you need to do is you need to take a look at the amount of money that the county has collected, holding it, and they're holding it until legislature is going to make a decision. And you'll notice that in the first two documents that I gave you is that legislature cannot act on marijuana in this session because the people voted for recreational marijuana, and legislature cannot do anything until after November 2019. So the present legislature can't change any of the marijuana law. And so we're just sitting here waiting an amount of time. This is a prime example of why you need an attorney to represent you. And I think the thing is you need to take a look at the documents and the legislation and actually take a look at what is before you as a group in collecting marijuana, because in Assembly Bill 487, section 18.5 specifically says what the town does, and in the 422, I think it's section 66.5, legislature to coordinate their bills on marijuana to make the recreational marijuana available. And these are documents that I have been fighting the county for the last 3 or 4 years, and the county just simply takes and ignores you. And the reason why is you have no attorney file a lawsuit against them for the money. Thank you.
Well, thanks, John. Okay, now here we go. Could you just please introduce yourself and what you have going on?
My name is Dave Richards. I'm with Civil Wise Services representing the owner. Item 9D. I understand that was... I understand this was pulled from the agenda. Wasn't quite sure why.
Well, it was, just real quickly, we had no backup. There was nothing about that. And anything that relates to subdivisions and stuff has to go through our planning committee first, and then they make the recommendation.
And I'm just now understanding that.
Oh, okay.
When we were at the Board of County Commissioner meeting, well, we went to the Planning Commission of Nye County, and they approved it and sent us on to the board. And the board recommended us, or told us to come to you for a hearing here. We didn't know anything about Planning Commission.
Okay.
And I guess that's what your requirement is, so.
Yeah, Mr. Boster right there is the chairman of the planning committee. If you'd like to set a time, and if you've got 3 minutes. If you give us a little bit about what you got, and set a time with Mr. Boster and his committee to go through things.
So what we did is we have, the owner has the property, you're all familiar with it, I'm sure. The property includes a convenience store and so forth, frontage, the highway frontage, and then a brothel on the backside. When they purchased the property, they need to go for financial backing, financial funding for the whole project. They have to refurbish it. They're not going to develop anything more, but they can't get the funding if there's a brothel on the property. So I got with the planning department of Nye County, Steve Osborne, and the whole planning team to devise a way to split the property so that the brothel could be separated from the commercial part of the property. And that was by a commercial subdivision. We submitted a tentative map and a final map to do that. We went through all the hearings with Nye County, and then brought back here. So that's really about all. I do have copies of what we submitted if you all need it.
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Bosso will need that with his committee. Just a quick question. What was they really got water issues up there. How were you dealing with that whole thing?
Well, they've got commercial water.
Oh, they do?
Water system.
Are there any issues with the quality of it?
I'm sorry.
Any issues with the quality of it? We know that right across the street
Well,
they got...
one of the requirements of getting the final map approved is we're going to have to take samples of the water and send it in for testing and deal with it at that point. So it's all in process.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time. If you'd like to meet with John and schedule a time,
I would.
we'll do that. And John, put it together and bring it forward.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Do we have any more? Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So I'm gonna say this as Carmen Brown, the local, someone jokes that I'm the youth events coordinator, but I wanna make it very clear that we are working on youth programs. Myself personally have been working on youth programs for 10 years. So I know it doesn't seem like it, but just so you know, I have been working very hard, and right now we already have baseball going where I have over 25 kids, and I even have kids coming from Beatty because they don't have baseball there. We have archery every month. We're working on arena events again. We're working with the Sheriff's Department. We're going to be working with the Fire Department. So there are a lot of youth programs that are coming in right now. It just takes time and it takes kids. If I put on an event for 25 or 30 kids and I get 3, that's kind of an issue. So we are working on it and we are trying really hard. So if you have more suggestions or you want to help me out, that would be awesome. But again, I have been in contact for months with local businesses and parents for months. And I have been trying to get more stuff off the ground, especially for kids that are in high school as well. Okay, that's all.
wanted to express my opinion here. I do work for Acres Farm or Pure Life, as it will be in the future. Purely as it will be in the future. I do not smoke cannabis. I do not ingest cannabis. I have nothing against anybody that does, as long as it's within reason. You know, it's just like drinking. You go out and get totally drunk and get on the roads. I don't agree with that. There's a lot of good cannabis does for a lot of patients, but other than that, this is a business that's come into our community that's provided lots of jobs. It pays good. It has provided opportunities for people in this valley that weren't here before. And I think we need to embrace that, not try to punish them because they are cannabis, not try to, the rumors going around town are horrific. You know, we've all heard we're going to lose our jobs, they're going to shut it down. What's that going to do? We're going to lose business, we're going to lose revenue in the county, it's going to Clark County. What good does that do us? So we need to keep this in mind and work for bringing more businesses into the community. And if we keep giving this company problems, why would any other company want to come here? Why?
Chris Mastro, Director of Cultivation at Acres, Curaleaf. So first I would like to thank the board for a little bit of apology for not informing us. Not gonna lie, it seemed a little underhanded or something. We were a brand new company coming in here, and I know it got stricken from the record, but this was all to be voted on, and we weren't even informed. And that was a little like, and actually that same week, we were asked for money to donate money. So that, I appreciate you clearing that up, because that was kind of a hell of a welcoming. We do believe in the community. We have already, since I've been here, given some. There will be more. I've made several hires, some of which are here today, who are all local. My hiring policies start with right here. Then we go to Beatty and Toronto and Las Vegas last. So you guys need to know where I stand and what we're looking to do here. We do provide good jobs, and I agree with Teresa 100%. If you push us out of here, you just don't get any money anymore, and that isn't good for the community. And by the way, I rent from the Martells, I shop there, I've been eating at, well, all of the establishments actually, pretty much list them on one hand, and especially because the hours I work right now, yeah, I eat at these places all the time, and I spend my money, which my job was not here, you know, or wouldn't be here if, you know, we all get kicked out, and everyone as well. And the interesting thing is, a lot of this document anyways, it's basically exactly what I look at every single day, which is like, I believe it's a 292 page, right, of regs that we have, 296 pages, whatever. It's about that thick that the state of Nevada gives us to operate by, and that's fine. That's one of the reasons why I have a job. I've done this in Oregon, in Montana. I've been a consultant in Florida, in Maine, Maryland, and New Jersey. So I've dealt with cannabis law, because that's what, you know, this is, in all different states, and every single state has different laws. And I'm not an attorney. I don't make $250 an hour, and I understand this stuff. And I understand this well enough to see it and know that you're really not actually giving us too much else, or too much more than what we're already dealing with. Basically, it's a copy of that stuff, so in terms of spending that money, you're basically it's the same thing. But either way, I just want to make it clear what my intentions are here. And it's local, we're hiring local. We hire all ages, doesn't matter about your background. Well, yes, you have to be 21 and over, but I'm saying we do not discriminate in age or anything like that. And honestly, what John Mueller did with the company, and I'm not speaking ill of him, if I don't do better and a lot better, then I'm not going to have a job. And if I do really well here, you guys are going to see a lot more tax money that whether or not we get it or not, that's a different issue. But there will be a lot more production going on. Now that doesn't mean that this product is actually being distributed in your community. Absolutely not, actually. Because there's no licensed dispensaries. We are not allowed. I'm over my 3 minutes. All right, I'm just saying, thank you for your time, but it won't be distributed here.
Hello, Lab. I'd like to thank Jimmy Thomas for the hard work he did to this board. I didn't always get along with Jimmy, but I always respected the fact that Jimmy cared. And I'd much rather have somebody sitting back behind this desk representing me that cares, that doesn't agree with me, than somebody who agrees with me and doesn't really care about being here. So, Jimmy, if you're watching this at home, thank you very much, Jimmy.
Any more public comment? Yes, we do. Young lady.
I promise I'm going to keep this really short and sweet. My name is Jessica Cattermas. I've lived here absolutely my whole life. I pretty much know every single one of you, which is kind of scary. But I did want to make a comment about the farm. I currently am employed there. I work at Acres. I've been there for less than a year, but the amount of change and the improvement and just the way that farm is, the way we operate, I can promise, like, you guys really, we're just on Amble Road. We're just another farm. We grow trees. As far as scent and stuff is concerned, you never smell it unless you're standing like right outside the facility during harvest time. Like the smell really isn't there. You know, if you guys are smelling pot, then obviously somebody around you is smoking pot. To put it plainly, I'm not really good at this public speaking thing, but I really just wanted to comment on that. I see so many familiar faces at Acres anymore. You know, we're up to 30-something local employees, 33 local employees out of I don't even know how many. And the bonds that we have created and what we want to do with the community is just amazing. And I really don't want to see, my job go away. But I really don't want to see the community lose that and lose that possible outreach. So I really think that the board, that is really something you guys need to contemplate and think about, because the farm really is honestly a good thing. Okay? Thank you.
Juan Fimat, Amargosa Valley, been here for a long time. Member of our fire department and EMR. Reason I stand up here is to thank all my partners here in the fire department, the great job that they're doing, and the EMRs. We got brand new EMRs for the ambulance. Like you know, I'm about the only one left of our old ambulance service. And when we stopped our ambulance, it's like we stopped everything in Amargosa. The reason it is that we have to wait so long for service to come, either Beatty or Perron. Like I said, nobody knows what it has until they lost it. A lot of people were complaining to us, saying that it took us too long to reach the destination of the patient when we were here. But when we were gone, they found out the other side. For waiting 15 minutes, 20 minutes, to wait an hour, 45 minutes, it's a big difference. So I was out of service for many years, whoever it was from when we stopped, until I spoke to Bruce he encouraged me to come back and help them out. You know, I love doing this. I love doing this because I like to work with the people around here. And to see the people sometimes don't support or don't care about the time that we pour into it. There's a lot of time that we pour into it. We put what? At least minimum to go to class is 140 hours or more, 200 hours, just to make it to class and graduate. Or if you don't graduate, you have to start all over. I did it 3 times. So I know what it's like. And I never gave up. And when Bruce gave to me and asked me if I want to be part of them again, because they want to start the ambulance back up, I say, well, I'll give it another try. So I'm not going to be, they're taking the EMT classes again. I'm not taking it because I only go to certain levels. So I'm just going to stuck at the EMR level. But just to let you know, every time, whenever you see these people with the fire department church or with the EMTs later on, please try to understand them. Because I've been there. Sometimes you have to go to a call middle of the night. Sometimes I have to go from a call to work and then come back and do it all over next morning because you have to cover the 12-hour shift. So please just be thankful for these people that are giving all their time and try to make it a difference in this town that we all love. Thank you.
Well, one, you kind of beat me to what I was going to do. But I just want to let the board know that when I stepped into this position, I had a lot of ideas on how to improve the department. And the only reason why we are talking about the subjects we're talking about is because of these people right here. They're putting a lot of time into it. I always thank them, but part of being in this job is when you can embarrass a bunch of people. So thank you all for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
So my name is Melissa Bell, and I'm new to Amargosa. The whole reason I'm here, the whole reason I moved out of Texas is because of the legalization of marijuana. I grew illegally in Texas for 15 years, and I think it's short-sighted of any community to look down their nose for any reason at a business that's providing jobs and income for the local community. This community hangs together really well, and I believe y'all need to work with the companies that are hiring your people rather than against them. Thanks for your time.
One thing I think that is most important for everybody to understand is that no one, to my knowledge, has anything against acres. The only thing that we have done here in our town is the county has an ordinance to tax the marijuana, and the state law says that the county has no authority to tax inside of the town. The taxation inside of the town is done by the town board. I would like to present the gentleman in the blue shirt that spoke. I'd like to give you the 2 state laws about marijuana. The only thing that we have tried to do is the county has an ordinance which is County Code 5.32.110. We have taken exactly the same ordinance, word for word, and we have simply replaced Nye County with Amargosa Town Board, and that is the ordinance that was turned down today by this board. It is identical to what the county has. John Mueller came to this community and said, I would much rather have the tax money go to the town of Amargosa instead of Nye County. All we have done is to try to straighten out the rules and regulations about the collection of marijuana inside of the town. We have supported acres at every step. They have come to this town board and have made presentations, and this town board has repeatedly approved acres. And now we have in the community all of these rumors that we are against acres and we want to drive them out, etc. That is untrue. I called Mike Cottingham and asked him if acres had been sold, and he said yes. I asked him if each employee had been given a bonus of $1,000, and he said yes. And he told me the name of the company. I then called the county and asked them were they aware that acres had been sold, and they said no. I then contacted county commissioners and said to them acres had been sold in violation of the code. And the code that they were in violation was code 532110, transferability. And it says no license can be transferred from one person to another. All the people at acres, all they had to do is to apply for a new license underneath their name. And it starts here at the town, not at the state, not at the county, but it starts here at the town. Everybody went running to the state and says, oh, the state says you have to do such and such. The county says you have to do such and such. However, nobody reads the legislation. The county has no authority on marijuana inside of a town. They have authority only in the county. Mr. Koenig wants to take and send us a bill for what he has spent collecting marijuana money illegally. Isn't that amazing? The county's going to give us a bill, how they charged us for managing marijuana inside of our town? I want to set the record straight. Nobody is against acres. We have done nothing but support acres. And anybody that gets up here and says that we are against acres does not know the true facts. Thank you.
John Koenig again. I'm going to set the record straight. I never said we're going to send you a bill, John. Can someone find the dead horse that he keeps kicking, please?
Guys,
For the record, Ed Goodhart, resident of Amargosa Valley for about 22 years. I've seen what's been going on between acres and the board. I have a lot of sympathy, but also empathy, because I remember 22 years ago, I represented a small fledgling company that came to Amargosa Valley, and they said we were going to pollute the whole valley. The valley was going to end if the dairy got a chance to get started. So I was also put in that same hurt box that acres is being run through right now. And so I would say to myself, has this valley actually been welcoming to a new business, providing new jobs, new opportunities to a diverse set of people? And in my own mind, I don't think this valley has been all that welcoming, okay? And I'm a person that's been in this valley for 22 years. I think we should do better. I think we could do better. And hopefully, if we have the right change on the town board level, we will do better. Thank you.
okay, I'm sorry, young man, but we've had quite enough. Going to let Pat finish it up.
Yes, and I'm speaking as a board member, and it really upsets me that so many people have come tonight and feel that this town board is against acres or any other business. We are not. We have supported acres from day one. We will continue to support acres. And I don't know what you've been hearing, but it's BS. This board has supported acres. We support new business, but there are things that have to be in place when new businesses do come in. There are rules and regulations that do need to be followed. That's all the town board is asking to do. And you might not know where they are, what they are. Come and find out. But as a town board member, 100% support of acres. They're a good neighbor, and I think we've been a good neighbor to them.
Thank you, Pat. I make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you.